Hello again. I'm Eileen Brady from the Harwich Historical Society, and today we have a unique pleasure of interviewing a pair of brothers about their memories of life in Harwich during the Second World War. I'm guessing that they'll have quite different memories because as brothers, they're a little bit apart in age, and we sometimes see that age has a bearing on what you remember. So I'll start with you, Forrest, because you're the older one, and see, look at Dave's laughing here, and see, it would be the period, let's say, from 1939 to 41. That was the Japanese period, you know, that we were waiting to, but still, the war in Europe. And then in 41 came Pearl Harbor, and so 41 to 45 was the double whammy there. Now, what is it that you may recall from that era? Were you a schoolboy then, or what? Or older?
Yeah, but I don't remember too much of that period, I don't think.
Well, you'd be surprised. Now, do you remember Pearl Harbor? The day when it was when it happened?
Yeah.
Okay. And how did the people around you react to that? Well, that's okay. You know, you can't remember everything. That's what my mother used to say. You know, you can't remember everything. Yeah.
No, I remember more from high school than I do
Okay.
from the lower grades, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
do you,
with the war, you know.
Yeah. Do you remember when soldiers began coming to the Cape for let's say, drills and so forth?
I think I'm sure, my father taught swimming at Camp Edwards.
Now look at that. See, who would have driven to the...
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an unusual situation, right? And to the soldiers, I assume?
Yes.
Oh, I guess we hope the sailors, wherever they were learning too.
It was the soldiers. It was a base.
Yeah.
And my father taught. He was Red Cross.
Okay. Was there a pool, or did you take them in the sea?
Oh, I'm sure it was a pool. Yeah.
Okay. Look at that. Imagine.
Yeah.
A little moment in history.
And I think he had, like everyone else on the Cape, that could use a hammer. They built a lot of the barracks up there too.
Okay, that's interesting also, because someone that we've already talked to talked about the German prisoners after a while when they were being brought in to Camp Edwards, doing some, I think, field work, agricultural work, but I never thought about setting up the property.
Yeah.
Yeah, and did you want to comment on that, Dave?
I had a memory because they were in charge of the laundry down there. We had POWs working there.
In the laundry?
Because they would come back through Harwichport to go, and they would throw us all these uniforms, some of the things they get off the uniforms.
Oh,
so we were glad to see them.
Yeah, see, souvenirs. Little souvenirs, things to collect, kind of. Yeah.
That's what I remember most about it.
Okay. And then as the war progressed, did you know anybody that left town, so to speak, to join the military? Or did you hear any kids in school talking about their fathers typically being...
Well, no, but, this would be later, but we had classmates.
Oh.
Quite a few. Well, Jimmy Massline, Bay Barrett, Matt Neldridge, the Speakmans, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we've checked out with one or two of those people that you just mentioned, and they may remember, but they don't want to talk about it because they were in the military and it was a tough time. You know, now we know there's this post-traumatic experience, you know, that really burns their souls, but they do remember, but they don't want to talk about that, their time in the military. Huh. So, and then how about things like shortages? Do you remember?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, he perked right up. Yeah.
I mean, rationing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But especially because my father was at that time the circulation department for the paper.
Okay.
So he did a lot of driving, and he had gas coupons.
Gas coupons. Yep.
Tire coupons.
Yep. Rubber was scarce. Yeah, I'll comment to say myself that I had to change. Well, I didn't change schools. We moved so that my father didn't have to drive us to school. We went to a school that was not nearby, and he couldn't get enough gas to do that. That was not essential, and so we moved to be near that school, and it was a wonderful school, and everything worked out well. But we did because of the gas coupon. Some of the younger people today can't imagine that. You know, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
and I forgot about the tires, the rubber tires.
Mhm.
Yeah, you were very thrifty about how you drove because to save that rubber. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's true.
Okay, now how about you, Dave? Were you were?
I was young and we played war a lot.
We played more. I knew the card game, but that
and it
was-
would be tough. The ones who, I don't remember how we decided, but who was a Jap, who was an American.
the
and
enemy.
yeah. So we
Yeah.
settled that, but we did quite a bit of that.
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of shooting.
There were
from
3 or 4 other guys.
played that.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
it's very typical.
together, yeah.
Before that, it was probably cowboys and Indians. You know that's
There was some
what
of
boys
that
did.
too, yeah.
Some of that
Yeah.
too. You were a wild bunch, full of hostility to the enemy. Your brother's even laughing at that one. Yeah. And then, do you remember any particular shortages, things that were scarce you couldn't have because it was a war on? That was the phrase. Anything that went wrong. Well, don't you know there's a war on? Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Forrest? Are you thinking of something that was hard to find or hard to get? Not
No, I
particularly.
can't really.
Well, it's
I
okay.
can't really either because we either got it or didn't.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
absence of
Yeah.
something doesn't. Children don't know that that's why. You know, it's just
Right.
not there.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that type
right,
of thing.
right,
Yeah.
And
I-
the war effort, so you felt.
You felt patriotic
yeah,
to be
yeah.
sacrificing some
Yeah.
item like that. Yeah. Oh, people that felt the rationing quite a bit, oddly enough, were little old ladies because sugar was rationed,
Mhm.
and they were used to baking and also lots of sugar. They didn't realize how much sugar they were putting in their coffee and tea, and so they really noticed it. Whereas families like yours and mine got the same coupons for little kids and babies even that they got for adults. And so in a family, you'd have, in your case, a couple of sets, and same with me. And so you really, you could, you had enough of what was apparently rationed, you know, because of the family size kind of carried you through, you know, in a way.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because there were 3 of us.
Yeah, so 3 and then parents and so
Yeah.
forth. That's a lot of sugar, or whatever else would be. You know,
yeah.
I think they would announce what coupon you could use next. You know, you had your own book, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Now, were there any precautions along the shoreline here and the beaches and things?
Well, you know,
Wow.
I was in Sea Scouts,
Oh, tell us about that.
and
Because they're still going.
we are.
Yeah.
But in order to go down to the shore, or
Yeah.
at least we had to go down to Chatham Lighthouse and be fingerprinted.
Really?
Yeah, and
The what?
Fingerprinted.
we were fingerprinted.
I wonder if those are anywhere, you know, are they kept forever someplace, you know?
So,
Who knows?
but so we
Yeah.
could go down to the shore.
To the beach,
that-
yeah. No, you weren't the enemy. And who was reading them as you approached the shore?
Yeah,
To say,
well,
okay, you passed. You know, wasn't any one of these identification tools that they have at airports today, where you put your thumb on and you can go through. You know, yeah, yeah. I wonder how where they are. I wonder if they're in Washington still. You know, do you recall being fingerprinted at all? No.
No, I remember playing the games.
Oh, of course. Fun time.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
we
yeah.
got rid of the Japanese stuff like that.
Of course, yeah, they were tough. Yeah. So, and then, do you remember the end of the war, which was a big day in a way? In the war in in Europe was over in, I think, May. I want to say the 6th. I'm not sure. Somebody will correct me, but it was early, that first week of May. In fact, there was quite a bit of it this year, even in the papers. But you were thinking about it. Do you remember
I'm
the
thinking
bells?
VJ Day, but I
Oh
don't-
yes, I remember
but
that.
I don't.
But the war in Europe, well, because the Americans, you know, in Europe, they were wild this year, some anniversary. But for us, the war we knew would keep going because
Yeah.
we still had the Japanese front to deal with. So we were, in fact, some of the soldiers that were brought back were transferred to Japan. You know, they made it through the European campaigns, and now they had to go to the other one too. Yeah, yeah. So you do remember VJ Day?
Yeah,
What happened in town?
I remember.
You do too?
nothing. It was summertime,
Yes, of course. August
and
14th,
we
I
just
think.
everybody was out walking the streets.
yeah,
in
yeah.
Howardsport is.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
were.
yeah, out to rejoice. Yeah.
I was working at Benji's
Were you?
at the time,
Okay.
and what he did, because he was going to celebrate when they heard that, So he made us all leave. We had dishes up to here.
Oh, when you
And
came
we were
back.
glad to leave.
Yeah, right. It didn't go away. They don't go away. My mother used to save the dishes. They'll be there in the morning.
Yeah,
Don't
Pete
worry.
Barber and I remember we went walking up and down town because people were driving and blowing their horns.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
It was
Yeah.
quite a celebration.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it was a great sense of relief, with that, and like you say, church bells. Did you hear? Were there church bells? For
Yeah,
you?
I'm sure.
I think so,
Yeah.
but yeah.
In the melee or the confusion, you don't single out any one thing.
It was Howardsport,
Yeah.
where I worked, and that's where we
Noticed what was
celebrated.
going on.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then was there any kind of like a little parade or anything like that, or just
No.
not formal?
Cars
Yeah. Okay. Just
driving up and down.
Well,
Okay. With the,
No,
with
but I
those,
mean,
yeah.
with the gas coupons and the tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was about it, I think. Yeah.
Although there were, for a while you couldn't get a car as the factories went back
That's
to
right, that's
peacetime
right.
production.
Right.
There was a quota,
Yeah,
I think, for cars.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
stopped building them in 44, I think.
Huh.
Was it 40?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just
I think
they
it was.
they just ran out of cars
Yeah.
for the local people, and then the factories had to get back in business.
Did
again.
Dad get affected by that?
No, I don't remember.
I don't either.
Well, he didn't dump it on you boys. Make it hard for you. He kept you happy and
Well,
at
that's
that
one
age.
way of saying it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but in those early years, you can't dump the whole war on top of kids, or young people.
Well,
Really,
you can, but it
it
just,
just doesn't stick.
because we played war. a lot,
Yeah.
At least I did. I don't know.
I remember one thing.
Yeah.
We were in school. This was cranberry harvesting days. And
Okay.
they didn't have people to drive the trucks.
Okay.
So they allowed us to take off from school.
Ooh.
In fact, they announced it in school.
Yeah.
That anyone had a driver's license and you wanted to drive for the cranberry.
Well, now
And
isn't
I
that
did.
interesting? Yeah.
So you'd take the boxes out in the morning, and in the afternoon you'd have to go back and pick them up.
That's an amazing detail. I wouldn't have thought of about that activity being curtailed or shortchanged by what was going on in wartime too.
Yeah.
Really, you don't think of those things really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a scrap drive, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had a pile right by
Yeah.
the flagpole. at the-
Newspapers,
at the-
metal.
Yeah, metal scraps.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I'd forgotten
Everything.
about that myself because
Yeah.
I lived in a big city and so we there was no place to have it. But I had heard about such things,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it would be carted off, and
Right.
bundled up.
I forget what they did with them, but they.
Yeah, there was another thing. Maybe you remember, we were living at Grandpa's
Yeah.
upstairs, right?
Yeah.
And it was a window facing west. Anyhow, the Navy was in Hyannisport, Hyannis
Yeah.
airport,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and they were bombing.
Practices?
Well, there was a pile of rocks off of West Dennis,
Yeah.
and they used to drop bombs, flower bombs. But
Yeah.
they used to have the sky. It was all lit up. They had.
Ooh.
And I remember looking out there, and you could see the sky all lit up from these, whatever they dropped to
Ha.
light up the sky.
And this was during wartime or at the
Yes,
very end?
well-
or at the very end, the last day? Or what?
No, it was probably at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Checking it out.
Yeah.
Ooh. So we had an airport on the
In
Cape?
in Hyannis, the
Really?
Hyannis Airport.
Was already here?
It was Navy.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
It was
see, I
the
didn't know
Navy.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chatham had an airport too, didn't it?
Well, yeah, but I
But it
don't think
wasn't.
that was. No, they had. Well, that was World War One.
Don't push 'em. Don't
they
push
had, they had blimps, I think,
Blimps.
in
Oh, yeah, I
Chatham.
remember the blimps. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were scared of those. But then they would come over. I think it was, of course, after the war, the blimps would come over the beach with advertising. The Goodyear blimp, remember the
Oh,
Goodyear
yeah.
blimp?
Yeah.
So it would have an advertising thing on the bottom, and you'd look up to see, Very,
Yeah.
very exciting to see
Yeah.
that go by, yeah. Oh,
Well,
my
cars
goodness.
were just going. I mean, blowing their horns.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards, and we were let go because they weren't going to do any more work, and they were
That's right,
they
for the
started
day.
drinking, so they
Oh,
were
yeah.
us out of there.
Yeah, get the kids away. Yeah. No, let's not
So
have
we
that.
walked up and down the beach in the whole 9 yards. It
Oh.
was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the end
yeah,
was wonderful. There was such a release and
Ye-
of worry, first of all, and
yeah,
then fear
yeah,
and all
yeah.
that went with it. Now, did you have blackouts here in Harwich, and the window curtains at night on an
I
announced
don't
day? Not
remember.
routinely, but I think they would announce a day when there'd be a drill.
It seems to me that we had something
Well,
like that.
another thing,
Yeah.
Dad belonged to the National Guard, maybe.
The State Guard,
or
what
whatever.
they call it.
And what did they have? A single shot rifle. I mean,
Oh.
a shotgun.
Shotgun.
12 gauge shotgun.
Yeah, one chance.
One. I think to myself, what? Just thinking
You
that-
weren't going to get too many of the enemy that way.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, a single shot. Wow.
Well, if we could get one, maybe.
And when you're ahead. You're ahead by that much. Yes, yes. Oh.
That
So.
was fun. Yeah.
Now, did some of the prisoners stay on, or
They seemed to for a while
Yeah.
because we were getting all the stuff thrown to us,
Oh yeah,
campaign
buttons and
ribbons and
things, yeah,
stuff that
yeah.
they took off the laundry.
Okay.
And they would throw it to us. Because
Wow.
we'd be out by Waterbees and waiting for them to come, and they would throw these things to us, and
What kind
we
of
loved
fun.
them.
Yeah, of course. Insignia things you collect, that sort
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
Remember when the airplane crashed in
Yeah. In the sea.
up by the water tower in the marsh there?
Ooh.
It was a P-47.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Yeah, and they crashed and they landed into the marsh and it ended up right by where the water tower is now.
Yeah.
And it's down back there is the marsh.
Okay. Was the pilot rescued?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I don't
he
think
survived.
yeah, because
Okay,
it,
I
yeah,
wonder.
the plane wasn't that
Big,
Well, I
yeah.
don't know. We couldn't go
yeah.
down there until
That's right,
afterwards.
because it was over in, as you go up, what is that street?
Lothar Ave.
Yeah, and you turn, if you're going up the hill,
Yeah,
you
right
turn
there.
left,
Yeah, there was
and
a
you'd
house
go in
there
there and
anyhow.
hide.
Oh,
Because we wanted to see
Everything going on, yeah.
what they were doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, there was a house right there.
Yeah, I think
Dickinson,
there
there was
was.
something
Yeah,
like that,
there
yeah.
was one house. I
There
think.
was a
yeah,
house on that
yeah.
side.
But this went way down so that they came in
Yeah, on
on.
the marsh.
Yeah.
do you think it was like an accident? But I mean that the pilot was aiming for a soft spot because his plane was in
Well,
trouble.
probably,
That
yeah, I
could
think
be.
so,
Yes.
yeah.
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 I think they
Trying
were
to-
coming out of Camp Edwards. I think they
Okay.
were.
Yeah. And I think the one that I remember, it was just it coming in. It had a problem.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he
'cause,
looked for
yeah, yeah. They
place to-
picked a marsh, which looks a little better than it
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, right. But at least it's soft.
But
kind of,
yeah,
it's not,
well,
not
that's-
hard rocks.
yeah, right, true.
Yeah. And let's see something else. Were you, let's say, urged or instructed about identifying aircraft in
Oh,
the sky?
yes.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
In fact, I built the silhouettes.
Okay.
We did it in school.
Yes,
School,
yes.
huh? In fact, I got a little diploma. I was a lieutenant. Something.
Of spotting an aircraft spotter, right?
And I did do some spotting to it afterwards. Yeah, I don't remember. I
Oh.
think it was Exchange Hall, the tower at Exchange Hall.
Okay. But I mean, we had to do this in my school too, and I used to think if the fate of the nation was in the hands of us kids, oh, I think that's a whatever,
Yeah.
It would be in a little
It was
trouble.
a little trouble. It was pretty tough, but it made us feel, it seemed that
Yeah.
like we were
People
contributing.
felt they were contributing.
Yeah, participating
Yeah.
and so forth. Yeah. Well, so then after the war, did things just sort of quiet down and get back to so-called normal, or what did you see as any differences in life? Someone that we've talked to already said that a lot of the soldiers, the people at Camp Edwards, that their families came to visit them while they were here, the boys, and that they saw Cape Cod then as a nice place to come to afterwards. And so the big influx of tourists and such after the war was a result of the visits that happened during wartime. I don't know if you agree with that or think of that.
Yeah, well, I think, I worked with a man who came from Kentucky,
Wow.
and he met his wife on the Cape.
Well, look
And
at that. Yeah. Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
So there were new connections and bonds were formed
Yeah.
by being at Camp Edwards. Yeah, yeah. Well, well, it seems like a long time ago, and then when you start talking about it, it's not so long ago, is
No.
it? Really, you know, it some things come back clear as can be, and then others not, of course. If I were to ask you certain things, you know, but the things that do stay with you are very much affected by that you were a young boy and
Oh,
playing
yeah,
cop.
yeah.
It would have been cops and robbers or cowboys and
Yeah.
Indians,
Sure,
except now
yeah,
it was
yeah,
the
yeah.
enemy
Now
shifted.
it's, yeah,
That's all it was.
Japanese
Yeah.
and the Germans.
Yeah, yeah. There was, you know, some ill will, which I think cleared a bit eventually.
Oh, I'm sure it did, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, that's sort of gone
Yeah.
now, you know, because we had soldiers on the other side too that were
That's right. at
staying
that
on
time.
the grounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad it's over.
Yeah, that's it.
It never goes away, it seems. But I really want to thank you both for, and you know, it's interesting as each one of you talks to the other, it reminds you of something, doesn't it? Each
Yeah.
one says, you
Yeah,
know.
it was a long time ago.
It was, yeah, but you know, it's part of life, our lives, so to
Yes.
speak. So I want to thank you both for coming and sharing those memories with us. Dave Bassett, Forrest Bassett, who were here as boys during the wartime, and thanks again. Okay, thank
Okay.
you. That's it.